Reggie, in the lesson, you unpack this whole kingdom motif. And what I'm curious is, though, to a Gentile, what would be exciting to them about a Jewish Messiah reigning over the world?
Well, if one of the things that we see happening in the first century is that Jewish synagogues had been dispersed all over the Mediterranean basin, and they were in these synagogues telling Israel's story. And Gentiles who had attached themselves to the synagogues would understand that at some point Israel's story turns to the nations. The promise in Genesis 12 had been that it would be through Abraham that the nations would bless themselves. And that's one of the things that Paul got, was that with the resurrection of Jesus Christ, the kingdom had come into this new phase in which that which the prophets had promised was happening, that the Gentiles would be attaching themselves to the kingdom of God. In images like Psalm 72, the rulers from far nations bringing their tribute. We mentioned in this lesson Psalm 22, where all the families of the earth are proclaiming God's name and worshiping Him. So Gentiles, as they come to understand Israel's story, and understanding that Israel's story ultimately involves the nations, would see themselves as now a part of this great story through Jesus the Messiah. And Paul puts it in terms of now Jew and Gentile being fellow citizens. There being this peoplehood that's made up of people who were near, Jews, and people who were far off. And that's why we talked about inheritance now being shared. And that's just not just an Israelite concept now, but now it's a kingdom concept that involves Gentiles who are co-heirs along with Jews of the promises of God.